Don't say anything bad about Democrats. You could get the hammer from the IRS. Welcome, everybody. I'm Tom Sullivan in for Neil Cavuto. The IRS revoking tax-exempt status of a conservative charity because of its criticism of Hillary Clinton and John Kerry. The IRS says the group violated rules against political activity, but Ron Paul says the IRS is violating something else, freedom of speech. So, Congressman, nice to see you again, but you know, this whole thing, this goes back to a 501c4, an organization that's been around for at least a decade, at least. What's going on all of a sudden? Is this brand new at the IRS, this targeting, or has this been going on for a long, long time?
Well, I think the IRS has done this for a long time. I think taxing authorities are notorious for attacking people, and it's usually bipartisan. But I think it's worse than ever. I think it's orchestrated. I think it's good that the Congress is paying some attention to this. And, of course, with Campaign for Liberty, one of my organizations, although we were hit 2 years ago, they dropped it. But now they're back again saying, well, you have to deliver these names, in spite of the fact that there's pretty clear evidence by the courts, including the Supreme Court, that we don't have to do this. And most of the organizations don't do this. So is it a coincidence? Hardly. But right now it's getting the attention of the American people. And I hope this backfires on those who have been attacking us, who would like to, you know, at times criticize our government. That's supposed to be what the First Amendment is all about.
Well, let me go back for a minute, because you mentioned your organization, Campaign for Liberty, and is it a 501c4? Is that what it is?
It is a C4, right.
Okay, so if it's a C4, the rules say you don't have to disclose who gives you donations. But they came at you a different way. They got you with a $12,000 fine for filing an incomplete return because you didn't include the names. How does that work?
Yeah, that's right. Well, actually, technically, the regulation still says that you're supposed to do this, but nobody's done it because it was tested as far back as 1958. That's when the NAACP against Alabama ran a case, and the Supreme Court ruled you didn't have to. And if they do get the names, they're supposed to never release them to anybody. And yet we do know that when the IRS has had the names from C4s, they actually have given it to their political friends or to harm their political enemies. So it's sort of a mixed bag there. But no, they morally don't have a right to it. Constitutionally, they don't have a right to it. The Supreme Court says they don't have a right to it. So, and 2 years ago when they challenged us, you know, we sent in our arguments and said we don't have to do this, and they accepted it. But all of a sudden now they've come back now, and they're much more aggressive this time. So we don't know what's the results will be.
You're a big guy on transparency in government. Why not have it so that the names are disclosed, or become a 501c3 and get rid of 501c4s?
Well, I would like to get rid of the whole mess, and I'd like to have perfect privacy for the people and perfect transparency for the government. Right now, there's no privacy for us, and the government's always secret, so we need to turn that around. But all these different organizations, I agree, it's a shame, and I've often talked about the dream. You know, what if I just had one organization, a political and educational organization, and got to do what I wanted to do? But no, they want to do, you know, they want to regulate. And, you know, as far as knowing, let's say there weren't any rules, and you as a constituent or somebody wanted to know what I did if I didn't do it, penalize them. Don't vote for them. Say, I want to know who's your donors. Yeah. But I wouldn't. I think the problem is government is way too big, and therefore there's this tremendous incentive, and the rules don't help. The rules just make it worse, because the people who write the rules are writing it to their advantage. That's like the regulatory system, whether it's the banking system or the medical system. The people who are going to benefit get to write these rules because they have the money to hire the lobbyists and get their people in government. So it's the process that is so bad. People
are getting your message, Congressman. People are getting it. But I'd like to switch gears for just a minute, and I want you to get your take on Vice President Joe Biden said today that we are pledging $58 million in aid to Ukraine. Now, listen, if you invited me over to your house, you know, I might bring a little guest gift or something like that. But $58 million, I thought we just gave them $1 billion. Why is he doing this?
Well, they like to run the world. They want to be the policemen of the world. They think that only they know what's best for these other countries. Not only that is, if the IMF comes up with this $18 billion, a big hunk of that will be ours as well. So once again, it's the principle. I don't believe in any foreign aid. This idea that some foreign aid is good and some is bad just lends itself to these problems. But we don't need to be involved in this civil strife in Ukraine. That is just the American people don't want it, and that is the reason why even the most aggressive individuals who want us involved over there say, "Oh no, we're not going to send any troops." Well, why not send any money? I've argued that our foreign policy is deeply flawed because we get involved when we shouldn't be, and if they do what we tell us and they overthrow a government we don't like, or we put a dictator we like, then we give them a lot of money. But if they don't do it, then we start using drone missiles and bombing these countries and telling them that you better do what we tell you. So I think the non-interventionist foreign policy is a much better one. The founders sort of advised that, and that's what's permissible under the Constitution.
Well, it is fascinating to watch with the vice president there. Again, warning Russia, it's time to stop talking and start acting. And these are the sorts of things that eventually, we draw these lines in the sand, and it just makes for bad foreign policy. But anyway, Congressman, I always appreciate talking to you, and I thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.